Hello everyone, welcome back to Study Room. So we are starting the chapter of light, and in this video we are going to start with the topic of human eyes. In the last video we already saw a part of human eyes. Now we are going to start with the part 2, that is more in detail about human eyes. So let's begin. Our eyes. Now what happens in our eyes is that the impression of an image, it does not vanish immediately from the retina. We already know that the image is cast on the retina, but this image does not immediately vanish from the retina. It persists for about 1/16th of a second. So, what happens if still images of moving objects are flashed on the eye at a rate faster than 16 per second, and the eye perceives this object as moving? You all must have definitely experienced this. That certain you must have definitely experienced this, that certain if the rate is faster than 16 per second, then the eye perceives objects as moving, right? So nature has provided eyes with eyelids. We all have eyelids to prevent any object from entering the eye, like dust or any unwanted particle from entering the eye. That is, it protects the eye. Eyelids also shut out light when not required. When we do not want to see anything around us, or if it's not required, then eyelids help us to shut out the light. Right? Now, the minimum distance at which the eye can see objects distantly varies with age. The most comfortable distance at which one can read with a normal eye is 25 centimeters. Right? Some persons can see objects close to them clearly but cannot see distant objects so clearly. So these are the defects of eye. Some people may be able to see the objects which are nearby them clearly, and then the objects which are at a distant location, those aren't visible so clearly. So that's why they have to wear specs, right? And on the other hand, some people can see the distant objects clearly but cannot see the objects close to them nearby, but cannot see the objects which are close to them clearly. So, even they have to wear specs. So, with suitable corrective lenses, the defects of the eye can be corrected, right? Sometimes, particularly in old age, eyesight becomes foggy. It is due to the eye lens becoming cloudy. When it happens, persons are said to have cataract. There's a loss of vision. Sometimes it is extremely severe. Right? Now, there are various measures that can be taken for the care of eyes. So, if advised, we should always use suitable spectacles. Too little or too much light is bad for eyes. Insufficient light causes eye strain and headaches. That's why use of mobiles, excess use of laptops and PCs should be reduced. Right? Always read at the normal distance of vision. Do not look at the sun or a powerful light directly. Should always make use of goggles. Never rub your eyes. If particles of dust go into your eyes, wash your eyes with clean water. If there is no improvement, then you should always visit a doctor. Okay? If food is deficient in some components, eyes may also suffer. Lack of vitamin A in foodstuff is responsible for many eye troubles. Most common amongst them is night blindness. Now, there are some people who are visually challenged. Like, there are some people, including children, who are visually handicapped. They developed their other senses more sharply. However, additional resources can enable them to develop their capabilities further. So, here what happens that some people are blind by birth, while some people become blind because of some disease. So here what happened that they try to identify things around them by touching them, or they listen more carefully. Okay. Now, for visually challenged people, there can be two resources of two types: non-optical aids and optical aids. Non-optical aids include visual aids, tactile aids, that is, using the sense of touch, auditory aids, using the sense of hearing, and electronic aids. Optical aids include bifocal lens, contact lens, tinted lens, magnifiers, and telescope aids. Now, Braille system. The most popular resource for visually challenged person is Braille, which was developed by Louis Braille, who himself was a visually challenged person. So, Louis Braille developed this system, which enables the visually challenged people to identify what is written. So there are certain kinds of dots as shown as the image. By touching the dots, people are able to identify the letters. Okay. Now let's answer this question. Explain the laws of reflection. So we already saw that the first law of reflection is that the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. Correct? Then what was the second law? Yes. The incident ray, the normal, at the point of incidence and the reflected ray lie in the same plane. Correct? Easy, very easy. Now one more question. What is dispersion of light? So extremely easy. Splitting of light into its colors is called dispersion of light. We already saw how white light splits into the 7 colors by the use of prism, right? So now let's quickly revise this chapter. Okay? It is only when light from an object enters our eyes that we see the object. The light ray which strikes any surface is called the incident ray. The ray that comes back from the surface after reflection is called as the reflected ray, right? An imaginary line which is perpendicular to the reflecting surface is called the normal ray. The angle of incidence is always equal to the angle of reflection. The incident ray, the normal at the point of incident, and the reflected ray are all in this plane. These are known as laws of reflection. Reflection from a smooth surface like that of a mirror is called a regular reflection. When all the parallel rays reflected from a plane surface are not parallel, the reflection is then known as diffused or irregular reflection. The objects which shine in the light of other objects are called illuminated objects. The objects which emit their own light are called luminous objects. Right? Eye is one of the most important sense organs. Some persons, including children, can be visually handicapped. They have very limited vision to see things. Some persons cannot see at all since birth. The most popular resource for visually challenged person is Braille, which was developed by Louis Braille. So this was all for this chapter. We'll connect next time on Study Room with a very, very interesting chapter. Till then, thank you and see you next time.